What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you 5 details in Divinity Original Sin 2 that you may have missed, Part 5. So definitely going to be some spoilers for Divinity Original Sin 2 here, and in this particular episode, actually a few spoilers for the older games as well. So with that out of the way, jumping right into this. So we're going to start this one with probably the most exciting one, actually. And in order to explain its significance, I actually have to explain a few other things. So I'm going to breeze over this a little bit, but I actually have 2 lore videos that I will link down below that I've previously made about the 2 subjects I'm about to talk about. If you've only played Original Sin 2, you might not be aware that the 7 gods mentioned in Original Sin 2 actually aren't the only gods in this universe. There's actually several others. The 7 gods that stole the power from the Veil of Source that elevated them to gods did not actually do this, just the 7 of them. There was originally 8. The 8th one went on to become Chaos, the demon god. Now, Chaos, the demon god, is the subject of a lot of the older games, actually, because Chaos, upon ascending to godhood, created the demons, and the other 7 turned on him immediately, banishing him to a realm in between realms known as Tartarus. From Tartarus, the demons invaded a plane called Nemesis, which is where you'll mostly hear about them being, but keep in mind the demons' home realm is actually Tartarus. All of that said, there is a single mention of Chaos in Divinity Original Sin 2, which is fantastic news because it does what we need it to do, which is confirm that in Original Sin 2, Chaos the demon god still exists. Now, truthfully, he kind of had to regardless, because according to Larian's own timeline for the Divinity series, Damien, who is Chaos's avatar on Rivellon, is heavily featured in Divinity 2, which takes place about 60 years after Original Sin 2. So they would have had to have kept him canon anyway, but I do think it is really cool that they kept this one single instance of Chaos in Divinity Original Sin 2. So, with all of that explained, this reference is in Act 2 in the Wrecker's Cave on Reaper's Coast, basically where you go to find Mortis as part of the main quest for the act. In that cave, near the entrance, you'll find a bunch of void-tainted limbs. If you have an elven character eat these limbs, they will get a flashback of Chaos ascending to godhood with the other 7. Now, this is especially easy to miss because not every single body part up here will actually give you these memories. They're mixed in with a couple others of just regular memories. But if you sort through them, you can find these direct references to Chaos the demon god. So there's that. Again, down below, I will have lore videos about everything we know about Chaos the demon god linked below, as well as a video about all the other gods of Rivellon that we know about. Moving right along from there, our second thing is that there are actually stat trainers in Original Sin 2. In Act 3, the Nameless Isle, once you get into the Academy of the 7, there's a sort of dining hall area, and if you turn on your spirit vision here, you'll find a bunch of spirits of insert attribute master. Every single one of these people will actually offer you a boost to one attribute at the expense of another. Basically what this will do is give you +5 to the associated stat while giving you a slight negative on the other stat that's associated with whatever stat you boosted. So finesse gives you a detriment to wits, actually. Just kind of a fun thing for the min-maxers out there. And for number 3, we have our Woken Genie. So this guy is really interesting. Not difficult to come by at all, actually. On your way to Wrecker's Cave that we mentioned earlier, on the beach, it is possible to find a magic lamp in the sand. And if you rub it, a genie will come out. Now, it's worth mentioning that if you destroy the lamp, which is part of the options you have, it always ends in a fight. There is no way to destroy the lamp and not have to fight this guy. But once he comes out, you can then talk to him, because he'll actually just try to kill you in some cases. Or it's possible, with enough persuasion, to talk your way into a reward. However, what is really cool about this particular quest, and the reason I want to mention it in this details video, is that this conversation actually has false successes in its persuasion attempts. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is the only quest where you can succeed the persuasion attempts and actually still get a quote-unquote bad outcome. So basically, depending on the type of persuasion check you say to the genie, it will give you a bad or positive reward. So despite the fact that you succeeded in the persuasion check, which will then cause the genie to grant you a wish, it's possible if you used the wrong persuasion attempt, or were basically rude to him, that the wish that you are granted will be taken as a silly thing, or as the real wish that you intended. So for every wish possibility, there's actually 2 different outcomes, a good and a bad one, which is then picked based off of which persuasion options you picked out. Just kind of a really cool thing. And then as a last side note on the genie will actually scale to whatever your level is. So keep in mind, if you save this to the end game, he'll actually be in-game level with you. So moving on to our 4th thing, our 4th and 5th are slightly smaller in their scale. The 4th one involves a fisherman just outside the city of Driftwood in Act 2. Now, very easy guy to find. He has a small quest for you. He lost his wedding ring. It had a tiny bit of source in it, and he's afraid to go into the water to get it because, source attracts Voidwoken. Now, if you have a high enough wit score, which the check is actually pretty low, so you probably will, when you walk up to the water, you can find the copper ring in the water. Now, picking it up initiates a fight with the Voidwoken. The fight is pretty average. What I actually want to mention here with this guy is that, hilariously, this interaction and however it resolves itself winds up in the inslides. So if you help Lagon here get his ring back and thus make his wife happy he didn't lose his wedding ring, it mentions that in the inslides, whereas if you don't retrieve it for him or whatever, it doesn't end well for him. So just kind of a fun thing there. And then last but not least, in the city of Driftwood itself, in a back alley, we can find a cat named Pox. Now if we talk to Pox, it will explain that it's been eating void-tainted fish and it feels kind of sick, but it can't stop. From here, we can choose to feed Pox either more void-tainted fish or poisoned fish, or fresh fish. Now, if we feed him 3 void-tainted fish, he'll just straight up die. It'll kill him. Whereas if we feed him 3 fresh fish, poisoned fish will also kill him, of course, but if we feed him 3 fresh fish, Pox will actually come out of his stupor, and he'll let us know about a treasure that he buried outside of town. Now, this isn't a side quest or anything, it's just a fun little interaction you can do. That said, Pox marking the item on your map or the location of his treasure actually can bug out on you, but it is near a bridge to the west of town. But it doesn't really matter that much because regardless, when you dig up the treasure itself, it's actually a bit underwhelming. It's like some gold and a resurrection scroll, which is better than nothing. Nonetheless, just kind of a fun interaction that didn't need to be here, so I've always enjoyed it. And there you go, guys. 5 details you may have mentioned in Divinity Original Sin 2. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. But regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.